Hello! Today I miraculously ended up having a number of hours to myself to do my hair, do my face, do my little pampering stuff, so I thought I would probably kick myself if I didn't take this opportunity to make a video. So don't get too comfortable with my appearance, because I can assure you that not even a fourth of the effort that went into me today is gonna go into my appearance going forward. So you're just gonna have to put up with really messy buns and no makeup. Anyway, I mentioned in my previous video that I would be putting a video up about my journey, and I thought I might start off with giving a little bit of an example of what I picture the videos to look like in the future. I'm gonna get each person that shares to just think of a couple of things they want to talk about that have been the worst part of this transition. Kind of more means the most difficult things that they've enjoyed the most, the best parts, and most importantly, the funniest parts, because what is life if there is no humor? So the two things that I want to share tonight that were the most difficult in my transition into motherhood are feeding and also my identity. Breastfeeding for me was something that was really strange. I had no idea that breastfeeding is often really difficult. I'm sure people had told me that they had struggled with it in the past. I'm sure that's popped up before, but I honestly can't remember ever thinking about the fact that it might not work for me. Very, very soon after Charlie was born, we found out that he had an incredibly tight tongue tie. I had no idea how much he was getting. He wasn't drinking super efficiently, just never was settling. So it started to get very scary and difficult really, really quickly. Before we even left the hospital, we had started to top him up on formula. Because he had such a tight tongue tie, it took us a really long time to get it fully fixed. And by that stage, my milk supply was really low. We were already so dependent on the formula, and quite frankly, we had found it to be quite convenient, and he was actually gaining lots of weight and sleeping really well. We had such mixed advice. It was really difficult to wade through, and it just made it an incredibly stressful time. It was stressful because I felt like I was failing. I was concerned that I wasn't feeding my son enough. There was just a lot of anxiety that was sitting behind it. So when I made the decision that we're actually gonna stick with mixed feeding, it was a huge relief. And from then on, I was so glad with that decision. Not because I think it's the best option or anything, but because it was the best option for me and for Charlie, and it was the best option for Blair. And unfortunately, it's been a really similar story with Hunter, but I feel so much better after making the decision. It's just this intense pressure beforehand, and I found that really, really hard. The other thing was my identity. I always would have said that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I just assumed that's what I wanted to do, and I really, really respect stay-at-home moms. I mean, I am a stay-at-home mom. Don't get me wrong. I just always thought that that's what I would be passionate about and what I'd really want to do. And then really quickly after having Charlie, I discovered that I love working. I love doing tasks that I can tick off. I love having challenges thrown my way. I just had this part of my brain that I love to exercise, and I never realized that when I was younger. I wasn't really feeling like I was doing that much at home. And there's not really any conclusion to that other than I've got a creative streak. That's just who I am. And when I'm actually able to be creative, I'm also a better mom. I'm more patient. I have more fun with the kids. I feel like I've got more energy for them. Not saying that I need to always be feeling fulfilled, but it was definitely a good wrestle and a good conclusion to come to. The best part of my transition into motherhood has been seeing Charlie develop his person. I love seeing his personality come out. I love seeing his humor. He's a funny kid. He's just super sweet, and watching him develop, seeing him understand things, grasp things, learn new things every single day. There's something new, and I absolutely love it. And I just love looking at him and being like, you are a mixture of me and Blair, and this is fantastic. Also, one of the things I've loved about the transition into motherhood is being forced to lose myself a little bit. I've never experienced such an intense time of having to be selfless, put my needs way behind the needs of others, and it's been intense, but it's been good. It has taught me so many things, and so as much as that sounds like a difficulty, it's also a massive positive, because I really was way more selfish before I had kids. I think one of the funniest parts about my transition into motherhood actually has happened more with Hunter than I did with Charlie. I've just lost a number of inhibitions in terms of feeding and that kind of thing. And it's just kind of funny to be like, wow, before this would have really thrown me, and now I'm just like, whatever. The other really funny thing about becoming a parent is the amount of time you spend wiping another person's bottom. And you're just sitting there wiping up their poo, and you're thinking, I'm literally sitting here wiping up someone else's poo. It's a really fascinating thing. There's not many other people I've ever done that for, so yeah, it's been a learning curve. Anyway, that's just a tiny glimpse of my experience. Anybody that's sharing about their journey is gonna have way more than just one or two best, worst, and funniest things to share. So I don't wanna just make it sound like this summarizes all of my journey into motherhood, because it absolutely does not. There's so much more to it. I also really don't wanna pretend that anything that falls into one of those three categories can't also fall into one of the other categories, because I know that everything blends in together and life isn't quite that black and white. Anyway guys, that's all from me. Bye-bye.